this is David B69. Welcome to today's video. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, and hit the notification bell for future videos. Let's get on to the show. Hey everybody, this is David B69 and this is Glitch. Welcome back to week 4. Can you believe we're doing 4 weeks so far of this? And we're still going strong. So hey, it's almost like a podcast, but it's not a podcast, it's a video cast. I really don't know. Anyway, every week we're going to have our topics. This week's topic is, drum roll. Yes, it is digital versus physical. Do you like the physical media? Do you like the digital media? What is the pros and cons? What do we like as collectors, as gamers? There's a whole varying topic with it. So that's what we're going to discuss today. But first, since we're in a different week, what have you been playing?
Well, I just completed one of the best games ever made, Cyberpunk 2077. I played Cyberpunk and the DLC expansion, Phantom Liberty. Absolutely amazing games. Recommend. Yeah, it's just good.
Now, here's a question for you. How did you play that game?
Played it on PC where it belongs.
And how did you play that game?
Digitally, because
it's digital.
PC.
See,
Yeah.
there's and I started playing I basically had to do an upgrade and everything, a digital upgrade for the PS5 version of Cyberpunk 2077. I've only played like an hour of it so far, so I'm basically nowhere. And you guys, if you're familiar with my channel, you would have seen that I've gotten pretty much nowhere into the game so far. But I'm going to do weekly content with that. It's all good. And I've been also playing NBA 2K25 and a little bit, nothing really else. I'm playing some Catan on the PS5 as well. Basically got myself a little bit more banged up, so I really haven't been doing too much because my fingers had blisters and cuts, and yeah, it's all a bunch of stuff you don't care about. Anyways, let's get into the topic. And that topic is digital versus physical. Now, me personally, I'm like a 80 to 90% liking physical more. But, yes, you can see a little bit of physical around. But I do like the digital media. I can see a lot of the pros on it. That you basically can just plug something in and you don't have to plug anything in. You just play the game. It just boots right up. Like Baldur's Gate 3, completely digital. I just basically go right to the system, boom, and I'm into the game. And it is like so quick because I don't have to bend over and find the disc and all that stuff. I understand it. But is it better than having a physical disc for long-term gaming? Because I am a collector. I really do love having all these games, and I want to be able to say, like 20, 30 years down the line, not for me, myself. I'm not talking about for me, myself, because I'll be in my 70s and I will be old and decrepit at that point. But it's like somebody like Glitch here wanted to play the game. Guess what? He's not going to have my account. He's not going to have all that stuff to be able to play it digitally. So it would pretty much make that game gone. What is your opinion on digital versus physical as a young man?
So here's the reality of the situation. Physical games are only nice under one circumstance. If you like them as a collector's item, because you either like having the discs and the physical cases and that stuff, then it's nice. Or if you're ordering a deluxe edition of a game and it comes with collector's items, that's when I appreciate physical games. Digital games, other than that, are usually 9 times out of 10 better because it's just simpler and more convenient. You can buy them directly from the game stores and all of these things. However, here's the issue. Digital games are better, but the problem is not the games themselves and not the digital media, but the nasty corporations that you can't trust to preserve these things. Video game preservation is an absolute atrocity. Nintendo, I think, is probably one of the worst offenders of this. But refusing to make remakes of games, refusing to make games available on later consoles, through, being able to like run them virtually, with like having their consoles have emulation of it, because they've basically dropped support of that over the years. They used to do that all the time with things like the Wii being able to play GameCube, the Wii being able to run N64 games through its eShop. All these things are being more and more abandoned by every company. So that's really where the problem is. And digital games, are great, but you really can't trust the companies, and video game preservation is really terrible. So that's what really needs to be worked on in the industry. But other than that, digital games are great.
Now, and here's another issue with digital media, and that's even a physical copy of the game, because half the games today, even you have the disc, they're not fully there, because they're not fully there. They need updates. They want to have they have DLC. You can't get that DLC after a certain point, because it all expires and the servers go down, and then you can't play that game anymore. That is also a huge, huge issue with playing these digital stuff.
Line of that preservation topic. So,
yeah,
and really, that's the issue here.
Which is why it's so important to us gamers that we want to make sure it's something that gets shouted out, so the game companies know that people do care about this kind of stuff. If you don't speak up, you don't make your voice heard, this stuff, it's kind of a moot point, or a moot point, as Joey from Friends used to say. I just like to have games that are going to go long term. And it's like you probably really don't understand it because you don't play as many sports games, but I'll play like a sports game, and it's like they don't, even like when they tried to do a remake, like if they tried to put like NHL 94, they put a version of NHL 94 on like a disc and stuff where you can play and stuff like today, but it doesn't have the rosters from back then. So the only way you can play those older games with the older rosters and have that same feel is to actually play that physical game. And that stuff is not available. I mean, it's like that was the generation after what we call retro, which is pretty much the 360 PS3 and Wii generation. I believe that's Gen 7, if I'm correct. But it's like after that, it's like at that point forward, it just basically became a whole cluster mess of itself. But I like having that old stuff. I like being able to say I have a physical copy of something and be able to say, hey, let's plug this in and just go. But we need to just keep on going and keep the standard going, because it's like otherwise these games are going to be lost forever. And that's a shame. I mean, it's a darn shame. And I basically like...
Some games have it coming, though.
Some games do have it coming. I mean, there are games that are so poorly done, they kind of like deserve to die. So that's a different topic for another day and everything, is games that we wish that would just go away and die and never come back. But that's another day and that's another topic. So just basically wanted to say one more thing. Just wanted to give a shout out to LA. It's like you're in our thoughts and prayers. You're not forgotten. Even though our Eagles destroyed you, it's like we still have love for the city of Los Angeles and its people. We are praying for you guys. Just wanted to shout that out real quick. Do we have any other topic to talk about in this discussion? because we've basically decided, from my standpoint, that physical is better.
I mean, I have not said physical is better. Physical is.
How are you going to
Physical
play
is more
Monopoly
stable.
Star Wars today?
What is that?
Hi.
What is that?
Monopoly Star Wars. It's a game of Monopoly and everything
That's a
on
board
Star Wars.
game.
Yeah, it's a board game, but it's digital. I mean, it's not digital. It's on a disc and stuff that I can play. How can you play baseball for Windows? See, his computer is a gaming computer. It doesn't even have a disk
But
drive.
that's not, again, your point is entirely wrong because, again, you're not going into whether or not physical versus digital is better. Because, again, that whole conversation is separate from the topic of video game preservation. Video game preservation is the issue. It's not whether or not physical or digital is a better medium.
Well,
Addressing whether or not I can still play a game is not blaming the digital media. It's blaming the lack of preservation. I can point at the same finger and say that the problem with physical games is that you need to own the original console and have a controller for that console and can't play it. Whereas on PC, for games that are being properly preserved, there's plenty of like ancient games, like for example, like Final Fantasy VII, the original version and stuff. That's all on Steam and findable and buyable there. And you can play that with whatever you can use on your computer, and that's way easier and that's way more preserved. So when digital games are preserved properly, and you can actually get some protection and love from the developers to port their games properly and get them modernized and keep them around, not like Nintendo, then actually digital becomes a far superior medium because you don't need to have all the consoles in the world in order to experience these classics.
yeah. And like another classic I can think of and everything that pretty much gets lost in its history is the Harry Potter game series. Now I don't think that was ever on Steam. But it's like if it was, I mean it's a great series and but I don't think it's available on today's hardware.
And again, that's the problem of video game preservation and not really a concept of physical versus digital.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. And sometimes I run into it in the past where the operating system would pretty much destroy what games you can actually play. And that used to be a huge thing and everything back in the day, because especially when Windows destroyed DOS, all those games and stuff, you have the DOS boots and you can do a bunch of things with that, but it's a lot more harder for your regular gamer out there who's not like in the programming and into doing extra stuff. But then again, a lot of those people wouldn't be playing the PC games to begin with if they weren't into that kind of thing to begin with. But I digress. Anyways, I just wanted to say thank you for everybody who watches. I really do appreciate all the comments and love. We do really appreciate it. We read every single comment that you leave down below, and I try to reply to every single one. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And let's keep this discussion going. And hey, if you want to make a video, shout out the link and everything in the below. And hey, I'll watch it and everything, and I might just comment on your videos. I really do appreciate the community. And until next time, this is David B69, and this is Glitch. Peace. I'm out.